Why, Lord, do you hide your face from me? So here, God, I need your help. Are you there? I want your presence, but you're silent. Okay? Now, David was a spiritual giant in the scriptures. Okay, spiritual giant. And the Bible tells us that he had many intimate times with God. He had a heart for God. The Bible tells us even in the valley of the shadow of death, he sensed God's presence with him. But here is a God. He also had moments like this. Okay? Now look at me for a moment. Here is a spiritual man who also had moments when he couldn't feel God's presence because he was overwhelmed by emotions. Okay? And in Psalm 88 verse 14 he says this, why do you reject me? Why do you hide your face from me? In other words, where are you? I can't feel you. Why aren't you answering my prayer? How many people have said that? Why aren't you answering my prayer? Okay? And then, it's not in your notes, but in verse 18, the Bible says David found himself in a dark place. The presence of God is bigger than our feelings. Even the Apostle Paul. I don't want to bore you with this, but you remember the story of Apostle Paul. He was previously called Saul. He goes to Damascus to imprison and kill some of the believers, the followers of Christ. On his way there, he gets kicked off his horse, he gets saved, he goes into town, he gets prophesied over that he will lead the Gentiles to salvation, even kings. But when you read the story of Paul, he goes to Arabia for 3 years, and in Galatians 1 verse 12, it tells us that he receives this revelation that Jesus is God, and he receives this information, which is really quite amazing. He didn't hear it from any of the other apostles, hence he established his leadership. He goes to Jerusalem. They're not happy about it. They kick him out. He ends up back in his hometown of Tarsus, and for about, we're not sure, but for 12 to 14 years he made tents. What happened to that prophecy? That he was going to be a leader of the Gentiles and prophesy and bring them to salvation. Where are you, God? And yet we find out after the 14 years, God launches him on a missionary trip. Do you understand what I'm saying this morning? Do you remember Jesus on the cross? Do you remember that period where he cries out, see you later, he cries out to God, and what did he do? What does he do? My God, why have you forsaken me? At that moment, he felt abandoned by God. C.S. Lewis, how many people know of C.S. Lewis? The movies, The Chronicles of Narnia. You know that? Screwtape Letters. He wrote a lot of things, and Lewis points to 2 moments where he didn't feel God's presence. Let me read it to you. I got a door slammed in my face, and the sound of bolting and double bolting on the inside after that silence. And that caused him. That's how he wrote it. There were moments in his life when he couldn't sense the presence of God. So, if you don't feel the presence of God, you're not alone. And yet God is always with you. Okay, now 3 possible reasons, you right? Yep. I'd love for you to take notes, and I want to suggest there's 3 possible reasons. And I want you to believe in God today if you're visiting with us. And you say, Pastor, I don't feel him right now. What's going on? Well, my purpose is for you to discover the real God and to pursue him, okay? Number 1, if you're taking notes, okay, why don't we feel God? Maybe we are over sensationalizing. Everyone say over sensationalizing it. Can you say it better than I can? Over sensationalizing it. It's in your notes there, and it's in John chapter 6. And I think sometimes we do what maybe the crowd did, the disciples did. It says in John 6:30, so they asked Jesus, what sign will you give that we may see and believe what you will do? In other words, what sign will you give so we can believe in you? Okay? And so they say, hey, our ancestors, they got given by God bread in the desert. What sign are you going to do? Okay? What are you going to do to prove that you're God, Jesus? We want to experience a miracle. We want to feel you are who you say you are. Okay? And now some people are like that, aren't they? Just look at me for a moment. Guys, you might go out with a nice girl. And you want to hear God's audible voice. What sign, God, will you show me? Like, thou shalt break up with thy second-class girlfriend and go with thy first-class girlfriend, thus saith the Lord. Some of us are like that. We want to hear that voice, Or you want an angel. You go to the car yard, you want an angel to appear. Thou shalt buy the Hyundai and not the Mercedes, okay? Come on, some of you are spooky like that, And sometimes we overemphasize, over-sensationalize it. You're really quiet today.
Can't afford.
Okay. Thank you for that contribution. Now, God doesn't always reveal himself that way, but sometimes you will feel God's presence and at other times you won't. But he is always present with us. Okay? And I remember back down, where the Catholic school is down there in Burleigh down there. That used to be, that road from the back of Mudgee used to be all forest. And I would drive down as a 17-year-old with all my surfboards on my car. And we would go to a campsite there, which is now an industrial shed. It was all bush down there. We went to a campsite. And this guy called Tim Hall called me out, and when in this prayer line, he laid hands on me, and he said, I really see you as a teacher in the future. And I just thought, you're nuts. I don't feel like that at all. I want to be involved in youth. And I didn't believe a word he said, because my feelings overrode it. And sometimes we over-sensationalise it, okay? Feelings are not evidence of God's presence. Can you just look at me for a moment? Feelings are not evidence of God's presence. Let me give you an illustration. So I was in Surabaya, which is Indonesia. Jakarta is the capital. Surabaya is a great city. And we were doing a conference. And the previous night, this was during the week, on the previous night they take me out to a restaurant. And I wasn't as cautious then as I am now. I say to the guys, be careful what you feed me if you want me to preach the next day. And they gave me this fish, and it was fried fish. The fish stand up, it was fried, it was really nice. I ate it. And I got up and preached, and my stomach went, and I'm preaching, right? And as I'm preaching, it goes, you know the feeling, come on. And I cut it short. I cut the preaching really short, really fast. I said, we're going to pray for people. And everyone went, yay! And they all came forward. And the leader said, I want you to prophesy over them. And there's this line of about 50 people, not even came forward. And my stomach's going, and I'm moving. And I'm going to tell you, this is the truth. I'm not preaching now. This is the truth. I'm saying to you, as I'm going down the prayer line, I'm holding. And people think, wow, he's really spiritual. The Spirit of God is moving him. And I didn't tell him, I corrected it. It wasn't the Spirit of God. Find me a toilet fast. And you know the feeling. How many people have diarrhea? You know when it starts happening, you've got to move to get there fast. And we just make a mistake all the time. Feelings are not the only way of the evidence that God is with us. Amen. If feelings were, you wouldn't need faith. Because there are times when we just need faith. Even through the dark valleys, we need faith, trusting He is with us. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. Sometimes we look for a voice, a whisper. God is always with us, though. Number 2. What did you learn at church today? Diarrhea. Okay, number 2. Get that image out of your head. Number two, if you're taking notes, you may not feel God in a nice way. Maybe, can I just suggest, maybe your heart is a little bit hard. Can I suggest that? You used to be close to God, you had a soft heart, something happened, your heart might have got a little bit hard. Jesus quotes Isaiah, it's in your notes there, I think, and in Matthew 13. Let's read this together. You will be ever hearing, but never, you'll be ever seeing, but never, for this people's heart has become. Now, our band, our bass players, often if you find a bass player, it'll be this finger and sometimes these fingers. And if you feel the tips of a guitarist, especially a bass player, all their fingers have got very thick calluses on them, especially if they play on a daily basis. And you can stick a needle in there and they won't feel it. It's a callus. Okay? And what the Bible is describing, that's what happens to your heart. When does it happen? Well, it happens sometimes when the presence of God can be in this meeting and people are moved and you're just sitting there, unmoved, bored, and you miss out and suddenly your heart gets a little bit distant from God. Or your prayer doesn't get answered and your heart gets a little bit hard. Do you know what I'm saying today? And I'm not here to scare you or anything, but you used to be on fire for God, but just there's a little bit of distance. And sometimes when we allow sin into our life and we let it go on, it becomes a little bit harder and harder. And what we do is we redefine it, don't we? We redefine sin. We call it a nicer name, a more attractive name, so we can manage it without feeling the guilt. But what I'm saying is your heart becomes a bit harder, and I'm saying ultimately you may find your place where you don't sense the presence of God because of the hard heart. Like for example, what happens, just look at me for a moment, what happens when a husband betrays his wife? Are they still married? Are they as intimate as they were before? No. Because trust has been broken. And it's the same in our relationship with God. It's the same in our relationship with God. That intimacy with God, sometimes we get separated and we get all messed up. But when we repent, the softness is there. When we don't repent, and it's pretty confusing today because, come on, look at me for a moment. What we call sin, the world calls it something else. Is that true? Acceptable. They enjoy it. And they say, look at you weirdos, Christians. We call something, the Bible declares it sin, and yet the world calls it something else. How many people have been to Mount Kosciuszko? How many people have been skiing? 2 people. Okay. Or how many people have been snow skiing or snowboarding? Okay, there's a few of you. And what do? The temperature's freezing outside, you're inside. What do? You put on your earmuffs, you put on your beanie, you put on your ski mask, you put on your thing around your neck, what's that, a scarf? You put on your long johns, some of you got your long johns on now, you put on your long underwear, thermal underwear, okay, then you put on some pants, and then you put on thick boots, then you put on your woolen socks, and then you zip yourself up, you go outside, and what do you feel? No. Are you freezing when you go outside? No, because there's something between you and the temperature. Have you got it? So you don't feel that freezing cold at minus 10 degrees because outside something is separating you from the cold. And if we continue to sin and we allow sin to rule in our life, God is always with us, but something is separating us from His presence. And that's the reason we need to keep short accounts with Him. Can someone say amen to that? So let's be honest. Come on. How many people are suffering from the sin of Facebook envy? Yes, I know the feeling. No one likes